I never imagined I'd be telling this story, not because I didn't think something awful could happen, but because I never thought it would be this. I was the girl who believed in love stories, who thought pain only came in the chapters before the happy ending. My name's Emma, and I was supposed to marry the love of my life, Jake, 2 months ago. I was 27, a graphic designer, and had been with Jake since we were both fresh out of college. 5 years together. 5 years of building a future, blending our lives, and dreaming big. He was warm, charming, and one of those guys who'd give his hoodie to a stranger if they looked cold. I didn't see it coming, not even a little. Jake and I met through mutual friends at a party. He made me laugh so hard I snorted, and instead of being embarrassed, he leaned in and said, "That's the sound of a girl I want to hear again." Cringe, I know, but it worked. We started dating, moved in together after a year, and everything felt like it was moving in the right direction. Sure, we fought sometimes, what couple doesn't? But he always made me feel safe, like we were on the same team. Now, Jake had a complicated family. His dad remarried when Jake was 16, and he gained a stepsister, Brianna, who was the same age. She was always intense. The kind of girl who looked like she walked out of a Vogue cover but talked like she was better than everyone else. Still, I tried to be civil. Brianna and I never clicked, but I chalked it up to us being very different people. She was cold, sarcastic, and had this weird way of acting territorial whenever Jake was around. I'd mentioned it to him a couple times, and he'd laugh it off with, "She's just dramatic," or "That's just Brie being Brie." So I let it go. We were getting married in a beautiful vineyard outside the city. Everything was perfect, at least on the surface. The day before the wedding, we held a rehearsal dinner with close family and friends. I was nervous, excited, emotional. I remember hugging my maid of honor and whispering, "This is it, isn't it? The beginning of the rest of my life." And she nodded with tears in her eyes. Jake seemed a little off that evening, but I thought it was just nerves. He kept checking his phone, disappearing for a few minutes here and there, but when I asked, he brushed it off. "Just wedding stuff, he said, kissing my forehead. I believed him. I was glowing. I felt so loved, so chosen, so sure. I didn't know that less than 24 hours later, I would be standing in my wedding dress, staring at a version of my future I never asked for. I didn't know my fiancé had already betrayed me, with the one person he promised he never looked at that way. His stepsister. The morning of the wedding felt like something out of a Pinterest board. Soft music, mimosas with my bridesmaids, the scent of peonies in the air. I woke up at the bridal suite giddy, nervous, and completely unaware that my world was about to flip. I hadn't seen Jake since the rehearsal dinner. We agreed to keep it traditional and not see each other before the ceremony. I sent him a cute little note with our planner, "Can't wait to meet you at the altar. Forever starts today." He didn't reply right away, which was weird. Jake was always quick to respond to anything sentimental, but I figured he was busy getting ready. My hair was halfway done when one of my bridesmaids, Clara, came into the room looking pale. Like, ghost pale. "Emma," she said softly, "I need to talk to you. Now." I laughed nervously. "What's wrong? You look like you saw a ghost. Just come with me." She grabbed my hand and pulled me into the hallway. My stomach dropped. I didn't even know why. Just this gut feeling that something wasn't right. "Clara, you're scaring me." She hesitated. I overheard something weird. I went to get my purse from the groomsmen's suite and I heard voices. "Jake and Brianna." I blinked. "Okay? Emma." They were fighting. Like, fighting. About last night. What about last night? My voice was suddenly dry. Clara lowered her voice. She said, "You said it didn't mean anything, Jake. You promised it wouldn't ruin today." I swear my heart stopped. Maybe it was something else. Then she said, "You still chose her. After everything. After that night." I felt cold. Like my blood had turned to ice. Clara looked panicked. I don't know what it means. Maybe it's not what it sounds like. But the way she said it, something happened. I didn't want to believe it. My brain was screaming, this can't be real. Jake would never. But something inside me, some sharp, small voice I'd ignored for years, started whispering, what if he would? I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was a fight about something else. I told Clara not to say anything to anyone else, not yet. I needed proof. I texted Jake, everything okay? No response. 5 minutes passed. 10. My makeup artist tried to keep working around me while I stared at the mirror, pretending everything was normal. I felt like I was floating. Detached from my body. Then came the knock. A hotel employee. There's a guest asking for the bride, he said. Says it's important. It was Marcus, one of Jake's cousins. He was jittery and pale. Emma, I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I thought you deserved to know. He glanced around and whispered, I caught Jake sneaking into one of the back suites last night. With Brianna. Around 1 a.m. I thought it was weird but figured it was family stuff. But I just overheard Brianna yelling at him. She said, you can't act like it didn't happen just because you regret it. My heart slammed against my ribs. Marcus looked genuinely uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Maybe it's nothing. But if I were you, I'd want to know. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I went numb. I asked my maid of honor to stall the guests. I took my phone and texted Jake again, where are you? Nothing. I called. Straight to voicemail. Then I called one person I never thought I would. Brianna. She picked up, sounding annoyed, Emma? Kind of a bad time, I know what happened, I said quietly. There was a pause. I don't know what you're talking about. You do. I know about last night. Another pause. Then, a dry laugh. Well. I guess the truth had to come out sometime. That's when I knew. It was real. It happened. Jake slept with his stepsister. The night before our wedding. I stood in my wedding dress, this perfect, delicate thing I'd spent months dreaming about, staring at my reflection with a face I didn't recognize. My veil was still tucked into my curls, my lipstick perfectly applied, but my eyes looked broken. I didn't know what to do. My friends were still waiting. My family was downstairs. There were over 100 people expecting a wedding, and I was the bride without a groom, or worse, with one I couldn't even look in the eye. My phone buzzed. Finally. A text from Jake, sorry, things got hectic this morning. Love you. See you soon. I stared at the screen. Hectic? That's what he called it. Cheating on me with his stepsister and then pretending like nothing happened? Rage boiled up inside me. This wasn't the man I thought I was marrying. This wasn't the love story I'd spent years building. I took a deep breath and typed out a reply, we need to talk. Alone. Now. I told Clara to keep the girls distracted and went to the rooftop of the hotel, where we'd taken our engagement photos months earlier. The view was just as stunning. The skyline, the soft wind, the sounds of the city below. It should have felt magical. Instead, it felt like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Jake showed up 10 minutes later. He looked calm, too calm. Like he didn't suspect a thing. Wow, he said, taking me in. You look unreal. Do I? I said, voice flat. Because I feel like a joke. He blinked. What's going on? Don't do that. Don't play dumb. He looked confused, or pretended to. Jake. I know about you and Brianna. I know what happened last night. His face changed in an instant. From confusion to panic. Emma, save it. I crossed my arms. I talked to Clara, Marcus, and Brianna. I know everything. He ran his hands through his hair. Okay, look. It was a mistake. It meant nothing. I felt sick. You cheated on me the night before our wedding. With your stepsister, Jake. She's not really my sister, he said, like that made it better. We didn't grow up together. It's not like that. It doesn't matter. I shouted. You lied to me. You broke everything. How could you? He looked down, shame finally catching up to him. I was drunk. I didn't plan it. We were just talking, and one thing led to another. No, I cut him off. Don't you dare try to soften it. You made a choice. You looked me in the eye every day and told me I was your forever. And the night before that forever started, you ruined it. Silence hung between us. He didn't deny it anymore. He didn't beg. He just stood there, looking like a man who knew he'd lost everything. What now? He asked quietly. I stared at him. My fiancé. The man I thought I'd grow old with. And I realized I couldn't marry him. Not after this. Not ever. You go downstairs, I said, and you tell them the wedding is off. You tell them why. Emma, if you don't, I will. And I'll include every disgusting detail. He nodded slowly, defeated. I turned and walked away. Each step in that dress felt heavier than the last, like the fabric was made of grief. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I passed my bridesmaids, who all looked up in shock, and I said, there's been a change of plans. My mom rushed over. Emma? What's going on? I took her hand. I'll explain. Just, give me a second. I went back to the suite, peeled off that dream dress, and stood in my slip, staring out the window. Downstairs, Jake was making the announcement. I could hear gasps. Whispers. And then, silence. The wedding was over. The fantasy shattered. And all I had left was the truth. The hours after Jake made the announcement are a blur. Guests trickled out, confused, some trying not to stare, others pretending like it was all some postponed inconvenience. My mom sat beside me, stroking my hair like I was a child again. I couldn't bring myself to say much. The shock had dulled into a numbness that made everything feel far away, the flowers, the wasted cake, the now pointless playlist we'd argued over for weeks. Jake was gone by the time I left the hotel room. He didn't try to talk to me again. Didn't text. Didn't call. Just vanished. Maybe it was cowardly, or maybe he knew there was nothing left to salvage. Brianna, though, she stayed. She had the audacity to knock on my door the next day. I opened it, and there she stood, in jeans and a sweatshirt, no makeup, holding a cup of coffee like we were just two girls catching up. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Really? I didn't move. Why'd you do it? I asked. Out of all the people in the world, why him? She sighed, looking genuinely embarrassed. I don't know. I think I've always been a little jealous. You have this way of making people love you. Jake, he always looked at you like you were magic. So you decided to destroy it? I didn't mean for it to happen, she said. We were drinking, and it just spiraled. Do you want him? I asked. She blinked. What? Do you want him, Brianna? There was a long pause. Then, finally, she shook her head. Not really. I think I just wanted to feel wanted. That hit me in a strange way. I wanted to scream at her, to hit her, to collapse and cry in her arms. But instead, I just nodded once, then shut the door in her face. Let her sit with that. The following week was dark. I didn't go online. I didn't answer texts. I canceled the honeymoon trip and donated my dress to a local center for single moms. Everyone had questions, extended family, coworkers, even nosy neighbors, and I kept the answers vague. It didn't work out. We weren't meant to be. Sometimes people show their true colors too late. Clara was the only one I let in. She brought wine, comfort food, and zero judgment. We sat on my couch binge-watching reality TV while I tried to laugh at someone else's mess instead of mine. You know, she said one night, if you want revenge, I fully support it. I raised an eyebrow. Like, what? Slash his tires? No, she grinned. Live your best life. Be so insanely happy and successful that it haunts him forever. I smiled for the first time in days. Maybe that's exactly what I needed. So I started small. Got my job transfer approved and moved to a new city like I'd always dreamed of. I signed up for a pottery class. Started running again. Said yes to brunch invitations. Blocked Jake on everything. Unfollowed Brianna. Decluttered the apartment. I wasn't trying to erase them, just making room for me again. I even posted a soft, smiling selfie one morning with the caption, "Plot twist, the bride lived happily without the groom." The comments flooded in with love, support, and a little bit of well-earned sass. It felt good. But then, a few months later, I got a DM. From Jake. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity got the best of me. It read, I messed up. I think about you every day. I'm sorry. No excuses. No promises. Just that. For a moment, I sat there, wondering if this was closure, or bait. Then I hit delete. I didn't need anything from him. Not now. I'd already saved myself. After I deleted Jake's message, I stared at the screen for a while, not feeling much of anything. No anger. No sadness. Just clarity. The kind that only comes after the storm has ripped through and there's nothing left to do but rebuild. That was the real turning point for me. I had spent so long hoping someone else would validate my pain, or fix what was broken. But I didn't need him to be sorry anymore. I didn't need Brianna to grovel. I didn't need revenge, or explanations, or closure wrapped in a neat little bow. I had survived the worst day of my life. And I was still standing. That was enough. In the following weeks, life slowly became beautiful again in unexpected ways. I met new people, real ones, kind ones, who didn't ask me about my past but were deeply interested in who I was becoming. I got promoted at work. I traveled alone for the first time and watched the sunset from a cliffside in Greece, barefoot, wine in hand, smiling to myself because I knew that version of me, the heartbroken, abandoned, humiliated bride, wouldn't have believed this was possible. There were moments when it all came back, of course. A song we'd picked for the wedding would play in a cafe. I'd see an old wedding email in my inbox or stumble across an unused registry item. But instead of crying, I'd let the memory come and go like a wave. No need to fight it. No need to drown. Just float. About a year after what should have been our wedding day, I got an invite to another wedding, from a mutual friend of ours. I didn't know if Jake or Brianna would be there. Part of me was tempted to skip it. But the stronger part of me, the one I'd been nurturing every single day since that disaster, said, go. Show up. Not to prove anything, but because I wanted to dance, to laugh, to live. And I did. I wore a sleek black dress that hugged my body just right. I felt confident, calm, radiant in a way I hadn't in a long time. And yes, they were there. Jake looked older. Not in years, but in energy. Like someone who'd made choices he couldn't take back. Brianna barely glanced my way. But I smiled politely and nodded when our eyes met. She looked uncomfortable. That wasn't my burden to carry anymore. But then, a few months later, I got a DM. From Jake. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity got the best of me. It read, I messed up. I think about you every day. I'm sorry. No excuses. no promises. Just that. For a moment, I sat there, wondering if this was closure, or bait. Then I hit delete. I didn't need anything from him. Not now. I'd already saved myself. After I deleted Jake's message, I stared at the screen for a while, not feeling much of anything. No anger. No sadness. Just clarity. The kind that only comes after the storm has ripped through and there's nothing left to do but rebuild. That was the real turning point for me. I had spent so long hoping someone else would validate my pain, or fix what was broken. But I didn't need him to be sorry anymore. I didn't need Brianna to grovel. I didn't need revenge, or explanations, or closure wrapped in a neat little bow. I had survived the worst day of my life. And I was still standing. That was enough. In the following weeks, life slowly became beautiful again in unexpected ways. I met new people, real ones, kind ones, who didn't ask me about my past but were deeply interested in who I was becoming. I got promoted at work. I traveled alone for the first time and watched the sunset from a cliffside in Greece, barefoot, wine in hand, smiling to myself because I knew that version of me, the heartbroken, abandoned, humiliated bride, wouldn't have believed this was possible. There were moments when it all came back, of course. A song we'd picked for the wedding would play in a cafe. I'd see an old wedding email in my inbox or stumble across an unused registry item. But instead of crying, I'd let the memory come and go like a wave. No need to fight it. No need to drown. Just float. About a year after what should have been our wedding day, I got an invite to another wedding, from a mutual friend of ours. I didn't know if Jake or Brianna would be there. Part of me was tempted to skip it. But the stronger part of me, the one I'd been nurturing every single day since that disaster, said, go. Show up. Not to prove anything, but because I wanted to dance, to laugh, to live. Later that night, while people slow danced and the bar line thinned, Jake approached me. Hey, he said. You look amazing. I sipped my drink. Thanks. There was a pause. You really hurt me, Jake, I said. And I'm not angry anymore. But I'll never forget how that felt. He nodded, eyes lowered. I don't expect you to. I took a breath. I hope you learn from it. And I hope you don't destroy someone else like that. With that, I walked away. I didn't wait for a response. I didn't need one. That night, I danced until my feet hurt. I sang along to every song. I laughed with people I loved. And when I finally got home, I took off my heels, curled up on my couch, and whispered to myself, I made it. So yeah. My fiancé slept with his stepsister on our wedding day. And for a while, that felt like the end of the world. But now? It's just part of the story I tell. Not the story that defines me. Because I didn't get the wedding I planned. I got something better. Freedom. Healing. And the kind of self-respect that can't be taken away, not even by the worst betrayal.